Weather wagers. Yeah, we're back, and we're excited here. Brett Thackera, Dan Tomaso.
Hello.
Dave Shiner's at the beach this week. Good for
Lucky
him.
dog.
Yeah, so you're running the board.
I'm running the board. I'm going to give it a shot.
I'm running the graphics. And for those of you listening, I don't think you're going to notice too much of a difference. It has been a fantastic week. It's been a wild ride, and we're going to recap it all for you. Of course, new episodes are Wednesdays this summer, and I believe in just a few weeks, when we launch season 3, we're going to 2 episodes a week. Can I announce that, or is that premature?
I don't think it's premature. I mean, this is something we've talked about a lot, and I think our viewers will appreciate this, our listeners, because we'll get into more of what's happened, what's moving ahead, and I just think in general, we want more time to discuss all the games, and hopefully it's something magical here for Penn State, for the Phillies, for the Eagles, because that's the other thing about this upcoming fall. We have to cover 3 main teams. And that's hard to do in just 45 minutes to an hour.
It is. And we also, of course, give you our wagers each week. And we want to know how we did. We're going to do our season-long bet, and we have to keep track of that. So doing that on Tuesdays, then the week is done, right? We get all the way through Monday Night Football, and then on Thursdays we'll give you a preview for the weekend and the forecast and our bets and all of that. So I think it is going to be absolutely terrific. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts here. A few more weeks of Wednesday-only episodes. And, of course, whether you listen on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you watch us on YouTube, the ABC 27 News Plus app, we're really everywhere, and we thank you so much for supporting us, because that's why we do what we do and why we're able to expand and have some more episodes come your way this fall. So let's get into it. The MLB trade deadline was this week.
One of my favorite days of the year. If you don't know that about me, I live for it. I love it.
You can change the course of your whole season in some ways by making the right deal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or the wrong one.
Or the wrong ones. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But, of course, the big one that came out earlier when it dropped, a lot of folks very upset by this, but Tariq Skubal going to the Dodgers, right? Went from Detroit out to L.A., and all of a sudden the reaction that I saw was Major League Baseball has a problem. And some people even suggesting that because Skubal went for such a low price, it seemed, that maybe the owners were all kind of colluding here to get people on their side before this big lockout. So your thoughts on Skubal to the Dodgers, and does Major League Baseball have a problem here?
I don't think they have a problem here. That's my first point. I think this is the Yankees of the 2020s versus maybe the 2000s. It's a team loading up. It's a team that's very talented, obviously, and I think there's going to be a lot of jealousy, unfortunately. But if you remember, going back to the pre-2020 campaign, the thing about the Dodgers were they had so much talent, but they couldn't win anything. They couldn't win a World Series. Dave Roberts, maybe he wasn't the guy, maybe he was the guy. And, all those conversations were sort of null and void once they finally did win a championship. Now, obviously, they're trying to go for a three-peat, but I want everyone to realize that a salary cap doesn't fix all these problems. They're deferring a lot of their contracts to the future. They're deferring payments into 10, 20 years from now. But I think what everyone has to remember here is that they're doing it all within the confines of the rules. There's no shadiness here. Anyone could do this. Anyone could make a trade for Tariq Skubal. Anyone could, pay $60 million to Kyle Tucker a year if you really wanted to and defer the payments. Anyone could pay Shohei Ohtani in the structure that they decided to. It's just other teams haven't for some reason. I'm not really sure what the rationale is, but if you have an ownership group that's motivated, so be it.
Well, I think the rationale is the Dodgers have a different TV deal than a lot of other clubs, too. They're getting more money in on that. And they also
But the Yankees had that advantage for a while.
They did, but the Yankees and the Phillies and some of these other big market teams have the same threat that's affecting all of media, which is the cable bundle collapsing, and they're not getting as many of these so-called retransmission fees. So the Dodgers don't have to worry about that because of how they structure their latest TV deal. So they continue to get the subscribers and the funding. Meanwhile,
winning, by the way,
winning
promotes
helps,
all that.
And a motivated ownership group. I get that, but with all this deferred money, let's talk about the TV rights, because as the cable bundle collapses, isn't that going to affect teams like the Phillies and the Yankees? The Dodgers are different, but if they're not getting that retrans money, where's the money going to come from?
Well, I mean, there's new TV deals to be had, and I think the Phillies have talked about doing their own network the way some teams have talked about it. I mean, I think there's ways around it, and I think there's ways to even get to more fans than you are now. I still think it's plenty stable for the time being.
But you can't replace that monopoly bundle price.
Well, but people are watching, so that's why I understand. So how are they getting it?
But the problem is when you're in the bundle, people that aren't watching are paying it. That's how ESPN did it for all those years, and now they're seeing the collapse of that, and it's hurting the bottom line. It doesn't matter how many people watch. Of course, that helps with ad sales, but you're not going to, that's only one part of the business. The other part of the business is the cable bundle, where everybody has to pay that. And now, when people are leaving that, that's tough to replace, Dan.
I guess, but my point is people are going to find a way to watch, and whatever new way they decide to watch it, whether it's through traditional means, whether it's through streaming, and maybe there's an a la carte package. There's been talk about that you could pick up your team and your team only for a season and pay whatever it is per month just to watch your team. I think that's where this is going, and I think some people want it that way. I don't think the sky's falling, and I think if you look at the Phillies and what they've done, even in stadium, they've sold more ads. They've found different ways to generate revenue. Again, you got to get a little more creative, but the Phillies just added probably $10 to $20 million worth of salary at this trade deadline. So they just continue to pile on the money, and it's not stopping. For those that want to complain, no one's saying we can't afford it.
Well, but with the Dodgers having it's seemingly every five-star, A-plus Major League Baseball player, with them having a TV deal that is locked in and getting the money, and an ownership group that wants to spend, as you said, similar to Steinbrenner, right, in the late 90s. Does this increase the chance, though, of having no baseball in 2027? Because a lot of people feel that way.
I don't think so. I think it's a talking point. I think it's a negotiation point. Everything I keep hearing is while this salary cap is noble and it's interesting.
Every other league has one, Dan.
They do, but that would mean every single owner, including the big market owners, would have to revenue share back even more money to smaller market teams, which they're not doing right now. There would be cataclysmic changes across the league to make that happen. And I just think there's too many changes at once to promote that. I think what they end up doing is make more penalties for those that go over the actual luxury tax values we have now. So going back to what I said about the Phillies adding $10 to $20 million in salary, the players that they just received in trade, they have to pay the remaining part of that salary, whatever it is, plus they get a 100% tax on that money. So you're basically paying double for every player you acquire right now. And again, it's not slowing them down. It hasn't slowed down the Mets. It hasn't slowed down the Dodgers. So perhaps the penalties go up. But I don't see a hard cap coming. I don't see a hard floor coming, because all the floor does is, and this is what people need to realize, the NBA is famous for this. The NBA teams love to grab expiring contracts, love to get players that are down and out that really aren't playing anymore to bring up their salary numbers. Meanwhile, the fans never see them on the field. They're not helping the product. It's just a way to make the value of the team look better. Well, that's all it is. I mean, again, it's all games. It's all games.
From my understanding, though, that's what the MLB owners want. They want to increase the value of their franchise.
Sure.
They're not going to be able to do that without a salary cap. And I think that, when we look ahead, I'm seeing a lot of people, some very smart people and some very smart writers and people inside the MLB that say they don't think there's going to be a season next year. You're the only one I've heard say that's nonsense. I mean, how detrimental would it be if there was not a season next year, given what we're seeing right now? Players that people love, despite the gripes about, many different media types having a game, the Field of Dreams game next week, and the Home Run Derby. Two things that Phillies fans are going to be tuned in for. They were on Netflix. Sunday Night Baseball now on NBC. ESPN has random weeknight games, right? Fans complain about this, but they are watching. The ratings are way up for the MLB. It's starting to feel like America's pastime again. If that comes to a screeching halt after October, that's a problem for the league, right?
Yeah, and that's why I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's too much momentum, and I think these owners that are complaining about franchise values, are they really going to be comfortable going a whole year without revenue? I don't think so. I think it's a talking point, and I think the players know it. I think the players know this is garbage, and I think at the end of the day, there's too much to be lost. There's just way too much to be lost. Now, again, going back to semantics here, there is likely going to be a lockout. That's not what I'm saying. A lockout during spring training, and it's likely a few weeks long, but that's the deadline needed to kind of push these negotiations forward. Every take I've seen on both sides, whether it's the players or the owners and their proposals, it's nowhere close right now. But you need that deadline to push it closer, and I ultimately believe there's going to be baseball in a very similar format to what we have now because it is working. And by the way, for all the owners that are griping about the Dodgers, this is the worst year to kind of pull these games in many ways because the lower market teams of the Rays, the Marlins, the Brewers, the Chicago White Sox, who have not spent a lot of money, look at the position those teams are in. They are right in lockstep with the Dodgers. And Brett, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are the Dodgers at or above 500 in the month of July? Do you know the answer to that?
I think they are below 500.
They're going through their worst stretch of the season. So part of that's because their pitching's letting them down. Part of it is I just think, again, in baseball, it's very hard to go pole to pole despite whatever talent you might have. And by the way, the Dodgers are getting older. They have some injury concerns with Shohei Ohtani. So before everyone wants to jump off a bridge, it is very, very likely that the Dodgers are not the World Series champion this year.
Well,
there are other teams that are just as talented, including our own Philadelphia Phillies, that could give them everything they want and more.
They just got Scooble. They know what it's like to be a part of a championship team.
Sure.
You may eat those words. But ring, 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 ring. I hear the phone ringing. Who's on the other side of it?
Is it a good friend of ours?
It's Dave Dombrowski.
There he is. Hi, Dave. There's
Okay.
the best GM in baseball. The best GM in baseball.
I don't think everybody agrees with that.
That's a shame. They really should learn to appreciate it.
Well, do your little dance again.
Okay, I'll come up on camera. The best GM in baseball. The best GM in baseball. He's going to the Hall of Fame, folks. I hate to tell you.
Well, maybe for the work he did with other teams. But you're very happy with what happened and the Phillies at the trade deadline. So for folks that aren't as clued in and as tuned in, but do like to listen to this podcast,
Sure.
What are the moves the Phillies made? There's obviously a big one and then some smaller ones. So tell everybody what happened.
So we actually saw this news together. I was refreshing X and even to some extent Instagram as much as I could during the day on Monday, but you and I were standing there in the Weather Center, and all of a sudden we see ding, 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 the Phillies get Luis Arraez. How about that? Luis Arraez, the number one hitter in the National League by average this year. Second, I believe, across all of baseball in his career currently for runners on base, his average with runners on base and scoring position. This is a professional contact hitter. He is a throwback player. And, you know, I think every time we've played him, I kind of grimace a little bit, especially when he was with the Marlins. He's just always on base.
Didn't he win a batting title with the Marlins?
Yes, he won a batting title with the Twins, who then traded him. And then I believe he won a batting title with the Marlins. I believe that's the year he almost hit 400 at one point. He is just the type of player you want in a tight situation against a tough pitcher because he rarely swings and misses. He has an extremely low number of strikeouts. Is he a perfect player? No, he doesn't hit the ball over the fence very often, but he does have some power. And I saw some numbers that essentially if he played in Citizens Bank Park, he would have tripled his home run production this year. Regardless, this is, I think, what the lineup needed. They needed another contact guy other than Trey Turner because you have the guys in Harper and Schwarber when they're going right that can knock in runs. People are going to hate me for saying this. Another person that knocks in runs that Dave Dombrowski mentioned is Alec Boehm. Has over 60 RBIs. No one on the trade market that was moved has over 60 RBIs.
And so there are people that just threw their phones.
And I'm not an Alec Boehm fan, but I'm just telling you what he does. He does get some timely hits, and he does score some runs. So if you're listening to this podcast, we got to witness Tuesday night where Luis Arraez made his debut in the cleanup spot. And essentially it went right to script. He had runners on base as soon as he came up for his first at-bat. What does he do? He gets a easy-going single to center field, scores Trey Turner, who was booking it around the bases, It's 1-0. That is a big deal in the first inning.
Yeah.
If they can do that on a semi-regular basis, that is huge for this team.
By the way, and I want you to react to some of the fan comments because fans were not happy with this trade. Now, by the way, when I say fans,
Are they ever happy?
I think the Philly fans get a bad rap. They gave this guy, the in-person fans, the real fans at the game, gave this guy a standing O.
Yes, they did.
And that was phenomenal to see. It made for some great TV when he took his first at-bat. I'm talking about the Twitter trolls, and I'm going to have you respond to them coming up. But let's talk about some other moves the Phillies made.
Yeah, so coming along with him is another friend.
Tell everybody who this guy is kicking his leg out.
Caleb Killian, who throws 97, 98 miles per hour. He came in, he's a younger player. He's a younger pitcher, similar to Jonathan Bolin. I believe they have 5 years of control on this guy. This was not a small piece of the trade that sent our number 4 prospect, Marquez, a young pitcher in Double-A, to San Fran. I loved this move at the time because this fills the Seth Johnson space, if you will. And Seth Johnson was a younger player as well, but they essentially swapped him out for someone who's shown a little more production in Major League Baseball. He was a Don Mattingly favorite. He loved warming him up and bringing him in.
I saw that on Twitter. It made me laugh that Don Mattingly has inducted Seth Johnson into the Phillies Hall of Fame.
It's amazing how some managers get fixated on a single player.
I think he likes Alec Bohm, too.
I do, too.
The Phillies, that's another criticism that Davey Dombrowski and Don Mattingly and a few others.
But I think this is a very good move, a fresh arm coming in.
Stuck on Alec Bohm and just refused to get rid of him.
And one more fresh arm coming in, which was no small trade either, my friend.
Yeah, from a division rival. Now, talk to me about this guy. Left-hander and old.
Yes.
Why?
A savvy veteran pitcher, knows how to get outs, especially late in games. He's been phenomenal. His name's Brooks Raley. Again, perhaps maybe not super high name recognition this year because the Mets have not been in contention, but his ERA is under 2. They needed another reliable left-handed pitcher in the bullpen, and again, look at who he's replacing in the pen. This is important. Kyle Backus, who was not awful for the Phillies, but he's a lower-tier pitcher. He's not a high-leverage situation. This guy you could bring into a high-leverage situation, and I wouldn't blink. I would feel pretty good about it. And there's been situations where Don hasn't had maybe Jose Alvarado at his best. Now, all of a sudden, there's less pressure on Alvarado. Again, part of this is building depth and building options for your manager.
Correct, because I'm not sure Donnie, as great as he has been, has managed the bullpen well.
He has not.
But
that's been my main criticism of him.
Yeah, part of that, though, and again, you'll criticize people if they deserve it, as will I. Maybe he didn't have the pieces he felt he needed. Now he does.
Yes.
Maybe that will help him manage it a little bit better.
Well, and I just think, again, bringing in some fresh arms, especially coming off of that losing streak that extended from Miami, and then they lost the first game of the Orioles series. It's a new feel. The guys seem really, really jacked up. Everyone seems excited. Even about the positional changes, there's been positive comments, and no one's pouting. No one's throwing a hissy fit. You have the leader of your team, Bryce Harper, embracing this change, saying that the general manager did a great job. To me, that's huge. Again, you're getting buy-in, and you may remember this as a Phillies fan, Brett. I'm not sure if some of our other listeners will, but Hunter Pence, I felt was a very similar move. Ruben Amaro Jr., it was probably his last great trade that he made as the Phillies general manager. Swooped in, traded with the Houston Astros, brought in Hunter Pence, and he brought that energy. He brought that change of pace and immediately made an impact for the second half of that season. That's what I feel happened here. And I understand everybody wants a little bit more from the trade deadline. Everybody wanted that extra outfielder or that starting pitcher, but I just feel like this was enough to shake up the team, bring some energy, bring some renewed enthusiasm. I think they could really go on a run here. And the last person I want to mention, Seth Johnson, who was shipped out for a former top third prospect in the Oakland Athletics, now wait a minute, are they Las Vegas yet? Not yet. I think they're Sacramento.
They are going to be the Las Vegas Athletics.
They are currently in Sacramento. But anyway, Colby Thomas, an interesting player. He's gotten some major league time. If someone gets hurt, this could be a player you see in the latter stages of the year. But again, is he a major contributor? No, but they essentially swapped out a younger player who kind of ran out of chances for someone who might be useful. That's what that trade is.
This guy, too, our outfielder here, we're going to get to him.
Look at this picture. Take a moment to soak in this picture. He's off the ground.
Well, do you understand, too, that I think what you're saying is dead on, because these guys look like they're having fun.
Right, and that's key this time of the year. It's a long season, and a moment like Derek Hill had on Monday, you're texting saying the Phillies are dead in the water, and they're likely not going to come back. And I said, listen, they may be down 3 or 4 runs. I think they're down 3 at the time. Mm-hmm. And I know the Nationals bullpen is not filled with A guys, okay? It's a lot of B leaguers and even C leaguers. And so I knew they had a chance. I did not think in a million years it was going to be Derek Hill again haunting the Washington Nationals and sending a laser out to left field for a grand slam to put them up 4-3. And then, by the way, they tacked on, which I know has also been an issue this year. Bryce Harper then afterward, I think feeding off of that energy, hit a bomb to center to make it 6-3 and put the game out of reach. But that was a game, Brett, that I think we can look back on in a couple of weeks and say that might have been a turning point coming out of the doldrums there after the All-Star break to maybe push this team forward. Again, is it the biggest home run you're ever going to see? Probably not, but it was their first grand slam of the season. Don't think you can look past that, but Derek Hill was an acquisition for this team not that long ago, and people kind of poo-pooed it, as the fans like to do. Guess what? He's been a contributor. He's won them some games.
Well, it's time. I'm going to read
here we go.
Some fans and some writers' reactions.
Maybe it's appropriate that Derek Hill's on the screen right now.
Yeah, to the trade deadline, and I want you to react to these, okay?
Put them on me.
All right, here we go. Is this really all the Phillies are going to do? And I think this was in reaction to everybody felt when this Arise trade came in.
It was early in the day.
It was early in the day. Where's the outfielder? Where's the starting pitcher? Is this really all the Phillies are going to do?
It's still a very good deadline. You can't solve all of your problems in 2 days. And some of the reaction I've heard about this is, well, they might have had other things in the works that just didn't get to the finish line. That is certainly possible. Sometimes you have multiple players in multiple trades. Maybe Marquez, who they gave up to San Francisco, was a player another team wanted, and then all of a sudden he's off the board, and there might not be enough time to reset that trade to make it happen. The other issue is, we'll never know this, but sometimes trades get nixed because of medicals. And supposedly there were a couple of trades, they didn't mention the Phillies in this, but there were a couple of trades that could have happened on Monday that had to be pulled back because medicals on 1 or 2 of the players did not pass muster. We'll just never know that because of HIPAA laws. But until you're in that war room, until you understand what was on the table, it's hard to know.
Who does Trey Turner think he is, refusing to move from shortstop?
I don't think Trey Turner refused anything. I think that is such a poor narrative by fans. I don't think
that
he was ever.
That was Ricky. I will say that was Ricky Bowe.
I really don't know where that comes from. I don't think he was ever asked to move. Here's why you don't move Trey Turner, in my opinion. He's on a heater right now. He's your best hitter since the start of July, when most of the team has gone in the cellar. Maybe the offensive production helps the defense. Again, we've seen that before with players, that all of a sudden they get one area right and then the rest of their game kind of takes off. I mean, I think he was in the dumps. I really do think that he was struggling so much at the plate that it was carrying over to the field. I really do believe that.
All right, next Twitter comment. Dave Dombrowski trade deadline. Brooks Rally, B+. Mm-hmm. Caleb Killian, C-. Luis Arraez, D+.
Oh, well.
Made the worst defense in baseball worse. Didn't get a right-handed bat. Didn't get a starting pitcher. The most overrated executive strikes again.
Do you know how many teams didn't address their needs? The Yankees, Red Sox to some extent. Orioles sold when people didn't think they were going to sell. Miami sold when they're in the middle of the playoffs, in the playoff run. So, again, I think it's all about perspective. I mean, the Yankees fans really have a lot to gripe about because they didn't get a single bullpen arm. They didn't get a catcher. People, let's face reality here. They got the best bat on the market. Now, obviously, we have another game now to see how that kind of worked out. But to me, that's everything I could have wanted as a fan. I don't know what's wrong with people. A D for Luis Arraez?
I think because he's a left-hander. That's why. Not because it's him, but because he's a left-hander.
It's the best player available. And the left-handedness, if you look at his splits, there are no differences between lefty and righty, really.
How did the Phillies become this? No other contender brings in a new player and has to move 3 other player positions just to field a competent lineup. This is a joke.
Joke is they just won their first game doing it. I just, again, if this was a juggernaut of a defensive team to begin with, then I would feel hesitant about moving things around. But it wasn't working as constituted. You know, as much love as Bryson Stott gets, I've seen a lot of information about him, some other tweets about him that say his defense has actually gone backwards. Bryce wasn't stellar at first base, everybody. And by moving Bryce back to the outfield, you solved an outfield position.
Imagine.
I mean, come on.
Imagine. I'm not disagreeing. But you have to respond. Imagine your we have several more, so just keep going.
There's a lot of them.
Imagine your projected starting first baseman was a minus 1.0 WAR. Mm-hmm. Tell people what that is.
WAR, so wins above replacement.
Player on the year, and your team's front office did absolutely nothing to address it.
If you want to criticize them not unloading Bohm, I kind of get it. However, we don't know what the clubhouse is like. And maybe the goodwill of bringing in Luis Arraez gets tanked if you remove a popular player in the clubhouse and Alec Bohm. You know, we don't know those types of things. We don't know if he is a glue guy in there. And when you make too many changes at the trade deadline of adding and removing players, you can lose the clubhouse.
That can mess the chemistry too. Is it Helio Ramos?
Yeah, Helio Ramos.
I would have been comfortable saying Helio Ramos and a fourth starter makes you a serious contender. And the Yankees are about to get him for a pack of Big League Chew and some old stitchless baseballs.
But the Yankees needed pitching, and they didn't address it.
I'm not sure some people realize how much of a disaster this is going to be if this is all the Phillies do.
I think they have a run in them. I really do. And I think, you know, between the firing of Rob Thompson to kind of change the voice in the room, and now this to kind of shake it up, it's not the same thing they've been running out there every single year, which... Didn't the fans ask for that? Didn't the fans ask for a shakeup?
Well, they did, but I think the shakeup, they wanted some more pieces. I mean, here's a couple more. Another good, but not good enough trade deadline. And the two biggest needs, and I think this is fair, one right-handed bat, two a starting pitcher. They did neither.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that is Brian De La Cruz has gotten a significant chance to play now after not getting that earlier in the season. Don Mattingly is a fan of Brian De La Cruz, so yes, for those who don't want to hear it, he does kind of count as an acquisition, which, that's your Helio Ramos, that's your Taylor Ward, folks. Like, the differences between those players are not huge. I hate to tell everybody.
The Phillies are one of the worst teams in baseball versus left-handed pitching. But these are all facts.
No,
I know.
I know.
So what did they do to address it? The Phillies desperately needed a fifth starter. What did they do to address it? They're better, but they're certainly not good enough. Dave Dombrowski falls short for another year in a row.
So the thing about the fifth starter is, could you find someone that is appreciably better than Andrew Painter? I can tell you that the pitchers that were moved during the deadline, I don't see as much better than Andrew Painter. And I don't see them as much better than Aaron Nola. For people that hate on Aaron Nola, everyone that was traded at the deadline, other than Tarek Skubal, is going to give up 3 to 4 runs a night. Mm-hmm. What does Aaron Nola do? I think you'd just be bringing in another pitcher that would frustrate everybody. I really believe that.
This was in the Philly Inquirer. Dave Dombrowski's no good, very bad year continues at the MLB trade deadline.
And that was David Murphy wrote that, correct?
Yes.
I don't understand the negativity. Again, you had someone being aggressive at the deadline. By the way, another team that didn't make enough moves and didn't address their needs in our own division, Atlanta Braves. And will it bite Atlanta big time is the question.
It's too soon to know.
And he is getting a ton of criticism. Alex Antopoulos is getting roasted by their media. And by some national media, too. So again, what do you want? Do you want someone being extremely conservative, not making any moves, or do you want someone who's trying to change the projection of the team by getting the best bat available?
Here's one more. And this was before last night. But I want to say, when the lineup came out, people were upset. The Phillies lineup is the stupidest thing in the world. Guys in the completely wrong spot. This organization truly can't get out of their own way. Where is the adult in the room? Dan, where is the adult?
Okay, here's the deal, folks. The adult is Dave Dombrowski, and the adult is likely a soon-to-be Hall of Famer in Don Mattingly. Again, there's a big push, it seems like, to get him in the Hall of Fame. This is not baseball from 20 years ago when you had J-Roll and Victorino at the top of the lineup, followed by your mashers and Utley and Ryan Howard. Those days are over. what a lot of teams do now, including the vaunted Los Angeles Dodgers, is put your overall best hitter number 1 or number 2, and then possibly your best power hitter at number 3, followed by somewhat of a contact hitter at the 4th spot. Isn't that what the Phillies just did? Again, the idea here being that someone like Kyle Schwarber or Trey Turner gets more at bats because they're more likely to come up another additional time being at the top. That's what that is about, and it's been shown by the numbers that that actually works. So there is a method to the madness. It wasn't Don Mattingly sitting in his office with a napkin. Here's what I think it's going to be. No, there's actual numbers and analytics to back it up.
And we'll end this conversation. Let's see Derek again, Derek Hill.
Yeah, let me see if I can do this. So I'm the one running things, and there's Derek.
So for those saying about an outfielder, right?
We have one. We have a bunch.
Well, Justin Crawford is playing really, really well,
He's hitting
too.
over 300 since June 1st.
You've got Derek L., and then you've got De La Cruz.
Right.
Those are all
How
different.
many more do you want?
Those are all different people than last year.
And now you got Colby Thomas, too, as a pull in case of emergency cord.
All right, so how can the Phillies, I guess my next question here
Yes. Lay it on me.
here's the schedule. Will this
Take
team
this
be
full
positioned?
so we can all read it. Small print.
Will this team be positioned now to make a run?
I think so. I think it's already started. I think you're seeing the turnaround happening in front of you. Good starting pitching, followed by pretty good bullpenning, followed by some offense. And I think it only takes 4 to 5 runs a night to almost guarantee a win for this team. I really believe that, and I think that is possible now given this lineup.
Well, let's look at who's coming up. We finish the National Series over the next 2 nights. Then the Blue Jays come to town for the weekend
They've been
series.
struggling.
Are all those gettable games?
They're all gettable games, especially because after tonight, so the 5th spot pitches tonight on Wednesday night, then you have a run of Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler, then probably Nola's spot, then Luzardo through Sunday. I mean, that
How great
can
did he,
pile up some wins.
How great did Luzardo look last night?
He is such a treat to watch pitch, and that's why I hated the Miami game where he was just totally mismanaged by Don Mattingly. He had that win sealed, but he was left in just too long, and it drove me crazy.
So the Phillies then go on the road. They play the Cardinals, but I'm not sure they're a juggernaut, are they?
No, they've fallen back to the pack, and not only that, they've made some trades to move on some talent, just the way the Nationals did. The Nationals didn't totally unload. The Cardinals didn't totally unload either, but they unloaded enough that they should be winnable games. But it is on the road.
Yeah.
So again, heads up. And the longer this goes, there's no off day until Friday, August 14th.
Yeah, that is the day after, by the way. The Phillies this year, for those that aren't aware, are in the Field of Dreams
pretty
game.
cool.
That is a night game on Netflix. The Twins join us there out in Iowa. That's going to be very cool. So happy the Phillies are a part of that. They've had a big year with the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, and now the Field of Dreams game.
We're part of a national brand here, folks. I mean, that's the cool part, and that's what I want fans to appreciate that. For all the hate that they're getting right now, people want to watch the Philadelphia Phillies.
Are the Twins gettable?
Yes, but they are playing well. They're actually in contention. So again, it ramps up a little bit here. It ramps up even more into September. I won't get into that right now. That's for down the road. But I think this is a time that they can get back to where they were, 10 to 12 games above 500, and then I think they're in a really good spot.
Well, let's talk about the forecast for the weekend because the Blue Jays do come to town, and I will say we are going to be dodging a few storms, especially Friday evening.
Friday evening, I think, is going to be tricky. I mean, even will Wednesday cause any problems? Will they have some rain delay issues for tonight that could then spiral down some impacts into Thursday if they have to play a doubleheader or resume a game? We will see. But Friday, I think, is similar to what we just saw on Saturday and Sunday in Baltimore, where decisions were not made that were not good.
I think there's still a storm chance over the weekend. Both days hot and humid.
Yes.
This does show storms really throughout the weekend. I think they're going to be sparser in coverage.
Yeah, it's not going to be raining an entire game, we hope.
Yeah, like Sunday.
Yes.
But they are going to be around, and it is something that these teams are going to have to watch. Winds, not unless you get a gusty storm to roll through, but at that point the game's probably going to be delayed anyway.
One thing I wanted to mention is southerly flow Saturday and possibly into Sunday. That means the ball's blowing out of CBP, so that could make it fun.
Yeah, maybe Schwarber can get back on
Schwarber
track
needs
here.
one. Schwarber needs one, that's for sure.
All right, real quick, we want to talk Penn State because I heard some comments here from some very big names. I was listening to Paul Feinbaum this week, and he went on about how he thought the Big Ten made some great hires in the offseason, maybe even a little bit better than the SEC with guys like Kyle Whittingham and Matt Campbell. He specifically cited Matt Campbell as being a great X's and O's guy, and Kyle Whittingham having a lot of experience. Both Big 12 coaches. They know how to coach big-time football. They're in the Big Ten, and he just felt that across the board, the Big Ten made some really great moves. And then Kirk Herbstreit was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he talked about Penn State maybe being the Indiana of college football here, bringing in a lot of transfers, a lot of guys that know football, that know the coach, and all of a sudden, Matt Campbell is getting some love from national pundits. Your reaction to that?
It's better than the opposite, right? That people
Yeah.
are concerned or don't think they have enough talent. Again, that nugget that we picked up in some of the interviews with the coordinators recently, where it was possible Taylor Mauser didn't come with him from Iowa State. I mean, that would have left a lot of Iowa State guys behind, and all of a sudden Matt Campbell might be behind the 8 ball. And who knows if Rocco Beck comes then, by the way. So, as constituted, if everyone plays and nobody gets hurt, we should win the first 3 games pretty easily. As constituted. We shall see.
Well, I'm just
Beyond that,
you,
I'm not sure.
It's good to be getting some buzz, because I think when you look at recruiting, and that's going to be the deal, and I've started to see some of these articles come out, in your mind, how important is winning right now?
Oh.
He does not have the bill and excuse that Bill O'Brien and James Franklin had. The program is near the top right now. You don't want to see it drop off.
No.
Easy schedule. We've talked about that, but I'm just telling you how important is making hay.
So
Well,
critical.
the haymaking is good.
So critical. And again, if Rocco Becht is as advertised and has the season everyone expects, that should help lure a good quarterback in our direction, which is huge. Also, how the wide receivers play. A big deal this year, because can we start to stockpile some talent in that room again? Can we fix that unit? I think the unit we don't have to worry about, knock on wood, is the tight end room, because it seems like we have plenty of options there. But again, can we see the offense take a step forward? It is the Andy Kolonecki offense, everybody, just with a different coordinator. Hate to tell you, it's the same system from the Big 12. It's also the Jim Knowles defense, essentially under a different coordinator. It's multiple, it's different looks, it's different fronts, different safety looks. Can that all come together this year? We have to see it.
Well, one of the ways that you mentioned Penn State could have success is through their quarterback. And he's only going to have success if the offensive line has success.
Yes.
And here's Mr. Ryan Clanton. Now,
did he chug a beer before this photo?
Thanks to at least Matt Campbell's policy right now, very open access. We've gotten to meet the coordinators through a lot of the beat writers that we follow, a lot of the podcasts that you and I listen to. I didn't realize Clanton is a Chip Kelly guy. How big is that? And
when
then,
I found this photo, I found a picture of Chip giving him a hug as a player.
So talk to me about how important that is, and then what do you think of this unit going into the season and fall camp?
This unit makes me nervous. I hate to tell everybody. This is part of the reason why I'm not sure if they can pull off a 2-loss season. I think it's closer to 3 to 4, because essentially we don't have a lockdown left tackle. We don't have a lockdown right tackle. As charismatic as Anthony Donka is, remember, he was kind of shifted around from tackle to guard, back to tackle. Does that work? I think the interior is the strongest part, but what also makes me nervous, brand new center. That's a big deal, everybody. I know everyone thinks it's plug and play, and you're going to bring in a kid from Texas State and all's going to be well. We will see. Makes me nervous.
Well,
We've seen some bad offensive line play with this team before. Let's hope it comes together.
Well, we previewed the Big 12, the ACC, and now it's time to go to the mighty SEC, the best conference in the world. Right?
The what?
Probably a conference that could win some NFL games, I'm told.
Ask Tony Petitti if he thinks they're the best conference in the world.
Well, even Paul Feinbaum doesn't think that these days. But here are the futures, Dan. Let's take that full screen.
This was so interesting, and I really did not expect this, that Georgia and Texas tied for future odds of winning the entire thing. Because, again, Texas hasn't done it yet.
No, but they were in the championship game.
They were.
It really has been them and Georgia. I mean, both have consistent winning coaches. Both, I think, are bringing their quarterbacks back.
Sure.
So that has to make a difference. What surprised me the most is the number 3 slot, because I think we've heard people doubting LSU that they spent a lot of money bringing in Kiffin and a big roster, but it's almost too much change, and it takes a while to get a team together like that, and yet there they sit at number 3. Is that just maybe a little bit of bettors love that they're glad
think
Lane
so.
Kiffin's there.
I think that's a little bit of bettor's love. I think that's the hot topic, right? LSU's got some buzz right now, so they're up there. But I almost feel like, again, Texas A&M's done a lot of good things. I understand their schedule was weaker last year, but it surprised me they're so far down.
Well, but listen, Dan, they choked it away.
I understand.
They lost to Texas.
Yes, they did. They did lose to Texas and didn't look good doing it.
They have to get over that hump. So, they also lost to Miami in the first round of the playoffs.
Are they kind of in that, Penn State quandary where good but not great, or
that's what
great but not elite?
Correct. Now, I think they have the coach to take that step.
Mike Elko's still there.
We didn't,
take him away.
Somehow, Franklin, despite all of his foibles, got us to the top 4.
Yes.
So maybe Mike Elko can do that. We also know Alabama here was Phil Steele's dark horse, leaning into Bama, and yet the recent commentary I've heard on that is they still don't really know who their quarterback is.
Yes, they have a battle. I was just listening to that last night, actually. I was listening to Andy and Ari talk about this, that there's no clear path yet, but I'm sure they'll make a good decision. And by the way, if they're wrong about it, they'll switch.
Well, and this is one of those things, too, where, Bama's in this spot where they don't really like their coach, and yet everyone else that isn't a Bama fan really does like their coach. I like the guy, and I think he's smart.
He needs to get over the hump. Again,
but I think he's
coach,
like Matt Campbell. He's not a personality. He's not out there.
No, he's not out there. But neither was Saban. I mean, Saban had his, famous quotes, but he never sold the team. He didn't have to.
No, that's not true. I mean, he would get on the playoff show and fight for his team.
Sure. But I meant leading into the season, he was pretty quiet, all things considered.
Saban wasn't on Twitter. But when you're Nick Saban, you don't have to be, right? So let's take a look at win totals here because this is interesting. You've got the top only at 9.5. They must feel that. Now, remember, the SEC is going to 9 games this year. They feel that this is going to cannibalize. They don't have anybody at 10.5.
Nope.
Like some other conferences do.
So that's gettable for somebody if you're willing to go that far.
It certainly is. What stands out to you here?
The middle of the pack really stands out because Missouri's not getting much love. Auburn's not getting much love. South Carolina's not getting much love. Vanderbilt in the post-Diego Pavia era seems to not even be anywhere close. Mississippi State, Arkansas, that makes sense. But the Tennessees, the Oklahoma, the Ole Miss, even to some extent Texas A&M, I mean, I think all those teams have a legitimate chance of breaking through, and yet look at their win totals.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And even Tennessee, I'm hearing good things out of their camp.
I know. And is this Josh Heupel's kind of last stand, if you will, because there's frustration there.
No, but I don't think so. He is in a great spot because he's done things
He's
with
overachieved
Tennessee.
a little bit.
Yeah, and remember how bad they were before he got there.
They were.
I think he's earned his stripes. So here we go. We're going to make our picks for conference. Well, first the win totals. You think, and I'm going to let you start here.
I'll start. LSU.
You think that LSU is going to go over. So I'm going to pull up their schedule, and 8.5. I mean, again.
All I need is 9.
All I need is 9.
And so I think that's very doable. I think they are a program that seems primed to be one of these transfer schools that make a lot of noise. And as much as we all get annoyed by Lane Kiffin, he wins, and he wins a lot. He won at Ole Miss, which was not a perennial powerhouse when he got there.
Okay, they start with Clemson at home.
That's winnable.
Okay, there's one. LA Tech.
Yep. Got that in the bag.
They have to go to Ole Miss, and there's a lot of hatred there.
There's a lot of hatred there, but wouldn't it just be Lane being Lane if he just lays the wood to them?
Well, actually, it would be more like Lane if he choked.
Well, that's true, too.
So I'm not going to give him that.
Okay, all right.
Okay? Texas A&M at home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give them that.
Yep.
Because they're at home. McNeese State, there's 4. We got to get to 9.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go to Kentucky. Any concern there with Will Stein?
Nope. Not at all. Don't think they have the talent.
Okay, 5. They have to go to Jordan Hare.
I think they got that one too.
6. Alabama. But they get them at home. They get them at home.
Toss-up.
All right,
I mean,
so
Kalen DeBoer's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up, but let's leave it at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to play Texas. But they get them at home.
I think it's gettable. Sark always drops one you don't see coming.
It's a tough place to play, right? You got to assume that's probably a night game.
And by the way, this is part of the reason why Brian Kelly was let go, because he didn't win those games recently.
Yeah, but again, Lane, 2 has problems.
Can he do it? Yes.
So then he has to go to Rocky Top, and 2 Arkansas. If you want to give them those, that's 8. I see why we're at 8.5.
I get it. I do. But I think for all the hype, all the circumstance surrounding him, give me an overachiever on him.
Okay, now let's go to the next one.
And won't that make everybody barf if that happens too, just because of everything that's gone on?
You and I disagree on this. I'm picking South
Yeah, you went
Carolina
the opposite
under,
way.
and you're going over. So let's look at their schedule because I think
I like
South
the
Carolina.
quarterback. This is why I went
Lenore Sellers?
Yeah, I like the potential there. I like that they have gotten close in the past, and they seem like one of these teams that maybe they don't put themselves in national championship conversation, but they play spoiler.
I think this is Beamer's last stand, and I think he's going to underachieve. I don't like the lines. I think they have some problems there. So let's go. Kent State, Towson.
Yep.
Okay, there's
Towson.
2. Towson. Mississippi State.
I thought Penn State had a weak non-conference schedule.
Yeah, a lot of gripes there from the SEC. Then they play Mississippi State at home. I'll give them that one.
Yep.
Then
Way
they go
to start out.
They go to Alabama. No. They host Kentucky at home.
Maybe.
That's a toss-up. That's a toss-up. Then they go to Florida.
Yep.
I'm not going to give them that one. That's a tough place to play.
We just don't know
especially with the new
enough
coach.
yet.
We don't know enough. That's a toss-up, but I don't think so. I think then they host
If
Tennessee.
it's Billy Napier, they probably win that game.
Correct, but I think we
just don't know. Yeah.
So I'm still only at 3. Couple of toss-ups in there. Tennessee comes to their place. I think that's going to be tough. They have to go to Oklahoma. They have Texas A&M at home, though they get them. Then they have Arkansas. I'm going to give them that one. I'll give you a Tennessee or a Florida.
Yeah, I think when they get one of those.
That's 5. And then they end the season with Georgia and Clemson.
I think they got Clemson.
Not according to Phil Steele.
We'll see.
He likes Clemson, but that's only 6. So I would still win that.
But I think you take one of those games where we're unsure about, and they win it, and that can tip the scales.
Okay, well, this is going to be a fun fight to have.
I think it's going to be very fun.
And I think Oklahoma.
These are great thought exercises because, again, leading into the season, we don't know a whole lot. We know what we've seen before, but one of these teams is going to get hot that we don't expect.
I expect big things from Oklahoma. They get John Mateer back, right? They have a great defense under Brent Venables, and I like them.
Vulnerables.
Yes, but I think this year they are going to get it. All right, UTEP. I'm giving them that one.
Okay.
At Michigan, I'm going to give them that. I think they are more talented than Michigan.
Whoa.
Because, again, I'm listening to people like Brad Powers. I think there's some question marks
Sure.
at Michigan. I'm going to give them the win. New Mexico, win. Now, September 26th, they go to Georgia.
Okay.
Let's not give them that one. Then they have the Red River Shootout. Okay?
That's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough against Texas. So they're still only at 3. Then they have Kentucky, Mississippi State. There's 5. They have to go to the Swamp. Tough, but I have to give them that because
I would give them that.
I think they're talented.
Knowing what we know now about Florida,
that's 6. And then they end the season here. Ole Miss, they get them at home. Texas A&M.
What if Ole Miss is bad?
Well, right. So there's 7. Then they get Texas A&M at home.
Wow.
Okay? And then they end the season at Missouri, which I would give them. There's 8.
By the way,
That's a tough schedule.
Drink was not getting much love either.
No, and again, I think there's some, they're probably about an 8-win team, but we just don't know.
Right.
And that's the fun part about this.
And by the way, this 12-team playoff, for people that want to see the field expanded, it could get jammed up real quick.
Real quick, but I still think 24 is a high number. So, conference winner plus our dark horses. I'm going Texas, and you're going Texas despite your doubting.
I think they have to break through at some point or Sark's done, right?
Well, again, I think he's in a position like Heupel. He has Texas so far ahead of where
Where
they
were, yes.
He's got plenty of time. But look at everybody they're bringing back, including
Arch
a Manning,
Manning,
who is better. It's hard to pick against him, right?
And that's, the quarterback returning. I don't know enough about Georgia. I know they're going to be good. I know they're going to be formidable. And I think it's going to come down to the 2 of them, plus maybe my dark horse, Alabama. At some point, they're going to put it together. Now, I know the recruiting has dropped off somewhat. I understand that perhaps they don't have the money to pull in all the transfers, but you can't tell me they don't have enough.
Well, and again, they have a coach that has been to a national title game with far less. And he's got an offensive coordinator that he likes, Ryan Grubb.
They seem to get in wild games with him, too. And so you win a couple of those wild games, and maybe it propels the team forward. Maybe there's less rat poison.
Yeah.
Perhaps it just aligns. And again, this is why there's potential with Penn State, too. You can give me the same arguments about Penn State that maybe the stars align. Maybe it is a magical season.
Phil Steele likes Alabama. I think my dark horse is Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I really think
you seem to like Brent Venables.
They could get up for Texas. They could win one or two of those tough games. If Ole Miss isn't as good, I think Oklahoma could be in the SEC title game.
I told you before this. I knew this conversation would get my wheels spinning. I am ready. Let's run through a wall. Let's do it.
Well, we are ready. You can find us on social media. We want to hear from you. Do you agree with these takes? Do you think we're idiots?
Probably.
Weatherwagers@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media. And, of course, we're back next week. Dave Shiner will be back. We're going to preview the Big Ten. I think we have one more preview week. We're going to talk all college football. And then week 0.
It's here.
That is when we go back to Thursdays. And then the following Tuesdays, we get into September. 2 episodes a week.
I'm so excited that the Phillies are in it. Penn State is relevant. The Eagles seem to be having some fits and starts in training camp, but the defense looks really good. I think it's going to be a very fun fall. As much as I don't like the change in seasons, football's around the corner.
Could be a Jalen Hurts extension coming up.
Yeah, I've heard.
This could be in October.
For those that don't know, his agent tweeted, "Did anyone see a Brinks truck?"
Yeah. This could be in October to remember.
Forget November.
Yeah.
Let's get through October first. Everyone skips over October. October can really determine a lot for your team.
Yeah, because you have the potential playoff run for the Phillies. Not that we want to get ahead of ourselves. You have USC and Michigan for Penn State. And then who knows what's going to happen with the Eagles. So here we go. Let's get things started.
We're off and running.
For now, I'm Brett Thackerow. For Dave
Dan
Shiner.
Tommaso.
And he's Dan Tommaso. For Dave Shiner, who's laying on the beach somewhere. We'll be back next week. Have a great week, everybody. Weather Wagers out.